Today is my guest Andrej. Andrej, tell our Slovak followers, who are you?
Ahoy, bratья. I am Russian journalist, military journalist from Moscow. I work for SPAS news channel. It is the biggest conservative Christian TV network in country, owned by church, and we are in almost every household of Russia. We cover everything. We're a general network. We have news programs, we have movies, films, everything, and documentaries. And throughout recent almost 3 years, I've dedicated a lot of my efforts to covering special military operation and what's happening in Donbass and other parts of the conflict, and how it affects us, how it affects global policies. And of course, I try to cover it from the point of view of Russian Orthodox Church.
We've met together in Donbass, and you were with the soldiers. So it's usually that you work with them.
Yes, when we met with you in Donetsk, it was my 18th trip to Donbass, to the war zone. I've been to literally all the directions from Kherson to Lugansk and Belgorod and Kursk regions. I have a lot of friends among military. I've covered their work, their service, and I dedicate a lot of attention to the Orthodox battalions that have the names of saints. This is a relatively new tradition here in our army, when this or that military unit chooses a patron saint that becomes one of their identity, something common, something that unites them in their fight.
Tell me why you decide to do this job, because I must say you are a very brave guy, and you have many experience with war.
Because it is my war. This is the war of my country, of my people. And if your country is at war and you are a doctor, become a military doctor. If you're a journalist, become a military journalist. I think that this war is justified, that we are on the right side, on the moral side. And I feel like it's very important to cover it and to be inside this process, to explain to other people, for example, to your audience, why I think and why I'm convinced that we are on the right and justified position, and to document everything. Because being at war, seeing what's happening is a wonderful experience to write books. We know that a lot of great, famous world writers like Erich Maria Remarque, like Ernest Hemingway, like Gumilev, Lev Tolstoy, Lermontov, they all had experience of being at war. And it's a special spiritual and intellectual experience you've also come through, Mikhaila, and you also know that it changes you. When you see this yourself, when you take part in it, it changes you a lot.
And very soon you will have your own book as well. So tell me, this book will be about, I think, experience of war, yes?
Yes, technically it's almost a war diary, because this book will consist mainly of my notes about how everything developed in terms of description, in terms of analysis of what's happening, in terms of symbols, in terms of signs of this war. For example, this one, this is one of the main symbols of this conflict. I have it even on my desk in my room. It is technically the first flag of Russia, of Russian people. It was used since at least 12th century or even earlier. And this sign of Christ was the sign of Grand Prince of Russia on the battlefield. It is called stag, from the word in Russian stягивать, come together, unite together, something that unites you. And it has become the main unifying symbol of our troops, of our war. And it's actually the depiction of Russian traditional values, what we fight for. Because war in Ukraine is a civil war and religious war in one people, between those who won't go and join anti-Christian or post-Christian West and those who want to stay with Christ. And that's why I think that we're on the right side. Also, I can show you, we have the emblems of Tsar Nicholas unit, reactive division. It's relatively new. I brought it in my 18th trip when we met with you, Mikhaila. And here I have the emblem of Saint Archangel Michael regiment. You see that they have the flaming sword, the sword of Saint Archangel. These are very brave and nice soldiers from Donetsk that were mobilized and soon became a special ops unit. So these people, they were of peaceful professions, but in less than half a year, they have become so successful that they became a special ops unit.
How religion helps you as a person in your heart?
Well, I don't even imagine, I can't understand how people can stay at war zone without being religious. Because when you risk your life, when you stay in places where you can be easily killed, I don't know how you can justify and explain everything to yourself without believing in God and in His providence and in His love for you. So I mean, for me, it's something natural. We have in Russia, we have a proverb, в окопах нет атеистов. There are no atheists in trenches. That's absolutely true. Even those people who never were religious in their lives, they become religious at war. We all see how the Orthodox Church is persecuted in Ukraine. We all see what's happening. You showed me news in Slovak media when journalists say that pro-Russian terrorists persecute Orthodox Church in Ukraine. It's a total nonsense. The Orthodox Church in Ukraine is being persecuted by the state and by pro-state and pro-Kiev paramilitary organizations. And we all see that we are fighting to preserve Orthodox Christianity as the cornerstone of our culture and identity. So of course it's a war for survival, whether we will survive or not.
Many people ask, where is the God when he allows to be a war in the world? What would you answer them?
Well, God gave us free will, and humans can use free will in their lives how they can. For one person, war is a way to commit crime. And for another person, war is a way to sacrifice himself for someone or something bigger and great. So God didn't create war. Humans did. And God does not have any other hands but ours, yours and mine. And we can use our lives to do the world a better place or a worse place. And this is what's happening in the SMO zone now. One side is fighting to make the world a worse place. Ukraine was the first post-Soviet country to legalize the Church of Satan as the official religious organization. Ukraine suffered from a coup d'etat that happened in Maidan in late 2013 and 2014. The aim of this coup was to subvert and to get control over the Ukraine by Western transnational financial elites. And they succeeded. After that, they turned Ukraine against Russia to start a war. It also happened. Russia is fighting to stop this. Russia is fighting to stop the war, is fighting to keep the rights of our families to be traditional, children to stay boys and girls, mothers and fathers to stay women and men. I mean, we're just fighting to stay people, to stay human beings. I had my experience of living in the West. I studied in Spain, and I know what I'm saying. I lived in Spain in 2009, and already by this time they had in the heart of Madrid a quarter called Chueco, and it was a quarter full of LGBT community. Back in 2009, 15 years ago. That was the moment where I understood that I don't want to be part of that West. I want to be part of the West of great culture, of great saints, of great poets, writers, heroes, but not the West of LGBT parades.
In Slovakia, many young people have very big problems with the gender. They cannot decide if they are girls, boys, and not binary or transgenders. I don't know what more exists. And do you think that Russia is still safe from this agenda or propaganda?
Well, we have been affected by this, but recently when LGBT was outlawed as an extremist ideology, and it's 100% extremist ideology dedicated to destruction of humanity, things have become better. I hope that soon we will stop abortions, and soon we will fix all the migration issues. Because I strongly believe that Russia is the ark of salvation for all white Christian peoples of the world. That's why God gave us such an enormous territory.
Do you think that one of many reasons why the West want to destroy Russia is religion?
I would say that this is the main reason, and all other reasons are secondary. Politics, economy, everything goes out of the spiritual side of life. Elites are now part of a satanic community. We cannot call it whatever, you know, the Masons, the reptiloids, the covered elites, whoever. But now when you look up at the world news and see what's happening in PD dimension, what's happening in European culture, you see that the elites are openly satanic and anti-Christian. They used to cover it and occult it in previous periods of our history. Now they execute it openly. And of course, when you look at this, you say, no, thank you. I don't want to be part of this. And we want to grant possibility, grant asylum to all the people in the West who also don't want to be part of it.
What do you think about Hollywood?
It is the cradle of the Satanism of the world today. Definitely. Look at the history of Hollywood. Look at what kind of people launched it. Look at the narratives they are spreading. It's a way to destroy everything good, everything godlike in our life and change it with Satanism. I enjoyed a lot of Hollywood movies, especially in my childhood and in my teenage times, but then you look at them and understand that mainly, they're all dedicated to dehumanization and de-Christianization of the world.
Let's talk about BRICS. You were in this big summit. So what is the result of this summit?
Well, the main result was that isolation of Russia failed. It's obvious because BRICS hosted more than 30 leaders of the world, more than 3 dozen leaders of big, growing, developing, fast countries came to Russia, to Kazan, to discuss the future of the world and the future of the sane part of the world, people who hasn't lost their minds. And of course, a lot of attention from the Western media. I met colleagues from New York Times, Washington Post, Sky News, everyone, Der Spiegel. What kind of isolation is this if all of them are queuing for the press conference with Vladimir Putin?
So do you think for the West world, it's BRICS a very dangerous group?
I don't think that BRICS is dangerous for the West. BRICS is dangerous for neoliberal globalist elites who want to subvert and control the whole world. BRICS is a club, is an organization of countries that decided to respect each other and to fight for sovereignty and their right to develop as they want, and not as they are said from Brussels, from Washington, from Berlin, wherever. We respect the right of the West to go wherever they want. But why on earth should they impose their way of thinking and life on us? It will be a joke, but I will say, it's like the Westerners come to Russia and say, look, an iPhone. We say, great, wonderful iPhone. I want one. They will say, okay, but you have to sleep with the man. I want to buy technology. I want to buy a product. But the West always says, we make iPhones, so you should be as gay as we are. No. We can buy it. We have money. We have resources. We have goods to trade. But we don't want to become what you have become. Mm-hmm. So this is always the problem. There is modernization and there is Westernization. If Germans, Americans, or whoever do great products, it doesn't mean that we all have to be gender fluid. Mm-hmm. But West is always imposing. Look at our success. Now change your gender. What is the connection? Your gender is your gender. Well, if you want to be a robot or a robo monkey or whoever, you're free to do this. But if you want to trade, let's trade. If you don't want to trade, well, we will trade with China.
I have been to Russia, seen one very interesting thing that Russia has many own brands. That's why I think that Russia doesn't need West brands or.
I remember that in my childhood, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, we really had problems almost in everything. Everything we had was imported. But now, especially after 2014 and this first package of sanctions, the things have changed. And we definitely have a lot of goods, all of kind. We're definitely self-sufficient. We live the third year under unprecedented sanctions. No one ever in the history of humanity was under the same amount of sanctions as Russia in these 3 years. And we don't look like starving. You saw it yourself, even in the war zone.
How important will be result of American election, president election?
To be honest, I don't think that it will change anything.
Who wants control us? Who? If not America, who?
I believe that these are people who have a different worldview from the majority of humanity. They're not Muslim, they're not Christian, they're something else. They are people who build their values on anti-Christian models. And they want to subvert the whole world and change it and rule it as they want. They want to make slaves out of everyone, out of us, of you, of Europeans, Americans, whoever. So I don't think that today we are having a war with Western countries. I don't have any hatred towards any country, towards Germany, France, whoever, even when they supply weapons. They're all puppets. They're all marionettes in the hands of people who really control everything. For example, Czech Republic. I don't know about Slovakia, but it was a surprise for me. I have been to Czech Republic many times before the war. And for me, it was a surprise that if I don't miss it, that there is no Czech bank in Czech Republic. All banks in Czech Republic belong either to Germans or to Austrians. Skoda, the main car manufacturer, great cars, belongs to Volkswagen Group. Everything in Czech Republic is owned not by Czechs. Are they sovereign? No. Who they own by? They're owned by financial transnational elements.
That's why we are depend of European Union. So
I agree.
That's very, very wrong way. And I think that the best for us is go out from European Union, but it's not easy.
So I send all the best wishes and my biggest ahoy to our friends and my brothers in Slovakia, because I am a pan-Slavist. I love all the Slavic people and dream of for all of us to become one whole united family.